Hi, I'm Jose Hernandez of the STS-128 crew, and you're watching NASA TV.
Morning Discovery, and a special good morning to Jose.
Houston, buenos días. Quisiera tomar el tiempo para saludar a mis papás, a mamá a mi mamá Julia y mi papá Salvador Hernández. También quiero darles las gracias a todo México, en especial a mi muy bello estado de Michoacán y en particular a La Piedad, Michoacán y Ticuitaco por aceptarme como su hijo del pueblo. Finalmente quiero mandar saludos a todo Latinoamérica y todo Sudamérica, a todos de habla hispana, mandarles un fuerte abrazo y que los tengo a todos aquí en mi corazón. And good morning, Houston.
Good morning from the Space Shuttle Flight Control Room. Everything proceeding on track at this early hour of the crew's workday in support of the third and final spacewalk of the mission to be conducted by Danny Olivas and Christer Fugelsang. The spacewalk, of course, is the focus of attention today for most of the activity involving the joint shuttle station crews. This will be the 133rd spacewalk in support of space station assembly and maintenance. The third and final spacewalk schedule for this mission. It will be the fifth for Danny Olivas in his career. He has logged 27 hours, 27 minutes of spacewalking time on 4 previous spacewalks, 2 on the STS-117 mission, 2 on this flight. For Christer Fugelsang, also the 5th spacewalk of his career. He has logged more spacewalks and more spacewalking time than any other non-U.S. or Russian astronaut or cosmonaut who has ever flown. Fugelsang, in 4 previous spacewalks, 3 of them on the STS-116 mission, has logged 24 hours, 53 minutes of spacewalking time, and again, this will be the 5th of his career. The outer thermal cover has popped open, and the hatch is in the process of being opened.
Okay, it is stowed. Okay, copy, open and stowed. Affirmative.
The view from the helmet camera on Danny Olivas, marked by the serial number 18 on the lower right-hand corner, as he begins to make his way outside of the Quest airlock.
All right, Danny, I see the thermal cover is open. You press the airlock, and you're going to connect your 85-foot safety tether to the forward anchor point. Okay, and work. And Houston airlock, just to clean up a few steps, just want to make sure it's step 13. We're showing it complete here on the PCS.
And we copy and concur. We show that complete as well.
And Pat, Jenny, I can verify I have my anchor point attached to the forward D-rings, and sails closed, slide is locked. Okay, those are good words. You can release your waist tether from the airlock D-ring. And Danny, that's going to go on your BRT. Copy that. And just FYI, for both of you, you're coming on over South America. Thanks for that. Interesting to know. I was looking at the beautiful agriculture farms, and certainly signs of life down there.
Through the helmet camera of Danny Olivas, a good view of the complex lattice work of the starboard truss of the International Space Station. Olivas making his way over to the starboard 3 truss and the work site for today's first task, the deployment of a cargo attachment platform.
And Pat, Danny? Go ahead, Danny. Understand I'm going to stow the crew lock bag. You said it was 3043? That's correct. I'm looking at the handrails, and I think the one that we looked at in the NBL was is labeled 3041. Okay. Well, if that's the place that you want to put it, I'll make a note in the procedure. Okay, great.
And Houston, copy.
And go ahead, Houston, on nadir ground 2.
Yeah, Pat, we did not hear the confirmation for Krister of his safer valves on page 4 of 21, step 6.
Hey, you're right, Pat. This is like being at home. Okay, Houston, I did get those, and he answered. Would you like another call?
Nope, that's fine. We copy. Thanks, Pat.
Okay, the fairlead is complete. Okay, now you're going to stay forward of both nadir light stanchions, Krister. All right, forward of them.
Danny Olivas making the comment, it's like being at home, a familiar territory for him. Along with Jim Riley on the STS-117 mission in June of 2007, though Olivas and Riley hooked up the S3 and S4 truss to continue the expansion of the backbone of the International Space Station.
Go ahead, Danny. We're just looking for a ratchet counterclockwise for you. Okay, and I broke the torque. Thank you, and you want to go back to... back in motor, Bravo 7, counter 2. Those are good numbers. Here we go, 10 turns. And you okay with me to remove the ADS? I am, Krister. I just want to remind you to do not close the ADP lock bracket when it's not inserted in a stowage hole. Copy. Do not close, non-inserted. Okay, both those released. Okay, and for both of you, it's 3 minutes till sunset. Thank you. Thanks.
What this work amounts to is that Olivas and Fugelsang are essentially taking apart some of the structural attachments and braces of the starboard 3 truss so they can gain access to the payload attachment system, the cargo attachment platform that they'll be rotating down into a locked position a short time from now.
Okay, that's complete, Pat. Okay, copy. Go ahead and stow my PGT and figure start those bolts again. And Danny, will you, once you swing the yoke out, will you want Krister to hold it while you reinstall the deploy bracket? Negative. I still have bolt number 2 finger started. Hey, Krister, if you'll just give us a mark when you hold the RTL down for 15 seconds. All right. Do so. Okay, the first tip pin is out. So this is pin is outboard. And there comes 3, 2, 1, mark.
And a good latch checkout on the newly deployed payload attachment system cargo platform on the starboard 3 truss.
Looks good from Houston.
We copy, Houston, thanks. All right, Krister, you can move on to the next one. All right. And if this pin is out, and on my mark, 3, 2, 1, mark.
The view of Krister Fugelsang from Danny Olivas' helmet camera as he completes the checkout of the latches on the newly deployed cargo platform to which critical spare parts will be affixed on the STS-129 mission in November. With this task now complete, the 2 spacewalkers will move back into the crew lock of the Quest airlock. They will stow the tool bag that they used for the deployment of the cargo attachment system platform, and will retrieve two other bags, one containing the new rate gyro assembly, as well as retrieving a bundle of tools that will include the new power control module for the S0 truss, as well as the two global positioning system antennas.
Going down at center swap.
You know what? Yeah, there it goes. If you just give it a tug, it might start to pull back in. Track.
Yeah, okay, good call. Oh, let's see, this is yours and this is mine, huh? So that should work now.
Hang on a second. I got it right behind your cliff.
Okay.
Stand by one. So level down and I can fish it out of there. Okay. It's clear.
Okay, good. Antenna bag is still there on 3509. I see Danny across the truck, yeah, and I don't. Okay, Krister, just for both of you, it's about 3 minutes till sunset.
Copy that.
Krister, you can go on in through phase one and get in position to access the inner bolts. All right, that's good work. And your handrail to PRT2 is 3507. I see it. Thank you. And just a note for you while inside to minimize contact with those heat pipes. Thank you. Yeah, I'm ready for PGT settings. Okay, Krister, it's Bravo 7. Bravo 7 is set. Counter 2.
A good view inside the lattice work of the S0 truss from Danny Olivas' helmet camera, as he and Krister Fugelsang are in the early stages of preparing to demate connectors, electrical connectors, from a failed rate gyro assembly. They also will release a couple of bolts and pull that modular box out of its slot in the S0 truss.
I can tell there's quite a lot of torque, almost the whole way out on this bolt. Then at 10 turns it started to decrease. Okay, it's free of about 13 turns. All right, it's moving already. That's good.
Yeah. Okay, Pat, I've got a hand on the RGA.
Copy.
I'm going to go ahead and pull it out of the receptacle.
You can go ahead and pull it out.
Okay, copy that. And there was almost no resistance at all from the D10, so that's a good thing.
Okay, and you can, once again, Tim, still at that on 3541, retrieve the spare from the large ORU bag and install it on the guide rails. Krister, you may need to help him. Copy.
Danny Olivas now will mate a pair of electrical connectors to the brand new rate gyro assembly box that is in the S0 truss, while adjacent to that work, Krister Fugelsang will begin to set up for the replacement of a failed remote power controller module.
Okay, Pat, inboard zenith, 5.5 turns, 9.1 torque, green light.
Okay, stand by, Danny. Break Houston Discovery for GPS antenna number 2.
And go ahead, Pat, and we see a good install on antenna number 2.
That answers my question, thanks.
With Olivas and Fugelsang working to peak efficiency today, the spacewalk officer in Mission Control reports that the anticipation is once these two global positioning system antennas are bolted into place, we should be still about 40 minutes ahead of the timeline. Danny Olivas back at the Quest airlock, retrieving equipment for the next task, which will be the pre-positioning of two 60-foot-long avionics cables between the S0 truss and the Unity connecting node, pre-staging those cables for use in the hookup of the new Tranquility Node 3 once it arrives at the International Space Station on the STS-130 mission next February. The two global positioning system antennas have been installed and mated electrically at the S0 truss. Danny Olivas and Christopher Fugelsang were told just to double check and perhaps tuck in a little tighter the thermal insulation around antenna number 2 that Fugelsang installed just a moment ago. Olivas's antenna, GPS antenna 4, is good to go.
And some good news to share. All the ORUs that you've installed have been powered up and are operational.
That's great news. That's awesome. That's great news. Thank you.
Okay, you attempts to the remaining coiled cable with wire ties to handrail 0118 and 0106, where you're at.
016 and 0118.
Good copy.
Yes, Houston, that's about where I had us, just a little bit ahead of the timeline, and wanted to know if you guys were talking about get-aheads on the ground.
Yeah, Pat, we've just started having some discussions about that, and we'll get back with you as soon as we have an idea. We're thinking node lane cable and APFR relocate right now.
Okay, that sounds good. For sure, we ended up slowing down just a little bit here on these cables until we get them straightened out, but just as soon as you can feed me that information, it helps me.
Understand, Pat. We will do that.
Danny Olivas and Christopher Fugelsang steadily working on these cables. There's two 60-foot long avionics cables that they are routing.
Well, you know, in the pool I put in on a lot of stuff, many connectors, because it didn't stay very stable. Here, this looks fairly stable. Are you guys think you're happy with this, or what for? There's one on my left hand and one on my right hand, if you can see, which kind of holds the bundle.
Yeah, Christopher, it looks great to me. We'll let the ground take a look at it real quick.
Yep, Houston copy and concurs. That looks great.
And I see you got the cap stuck to the cables. They're holding them off the shield, so it looks good.
Yeah, that came out lucky. All right, so I'm done this part here then. And is it bundle 1-4 now?
That would be next. Normally you'd, if you had to go back and do the final configuration on this cable is what we'd do. It wouldn't hurt if you, I think, go onto the 1-4 bag.
Okay.
You know, Danny won't be in a position for you to hand the stuff up to, but you can do your portion.
Yeah, I can do that. Sure. Got it. A little bit better navigation this time.
Okay, Pat, I think we got enough slack here.
Okay, so you're ready to remove the connector caps?
I'm ready.
Okay, the first will be P209.
09 coming.
Okay, I'm at the bag at 230.
Okay, Christopher. You can open the bag and remove the forward end. Okay. You're going to put that central wire tie on handrail 0230. 0230. Hey, Danny, we're going to remove all 4 of these at once and stow them, so if you want to try another one and come back to that one.
Sure. That, can I have a wrap on the wire tie?
Thank you.
And capture the bag?
Okay, Danny, normally we do a glove inspection right after the connect, but why don't we go ahead and just take a look at your gloves real quick now?
Okay, great. I've got good gloves.
Okay, thanks. Okay, we're going to make these connectors. The first will be 209, P209 to J209.
Okay, stand by one. Kind of get myself cleaned up here. I have P182, J182 in my hand.
And it's, to understand, 192, J192.
Yep, 192.
Copy.
Engine straight, free of FOD. Go to my band. Put bend radius. And the jack is free of FOD. Okay, P182 is connected.
And P190 to J190 is next.
P190. Connector is to engine straight, free of FOD. Medium I band, good bend radius. And the jack is free of FOD. .190 is mated.
Copy. Okay, Danny, as far as that connector, it's looking like to me that it is soft docking. Is that correct?
The 185 or the 181?
The one you're having problems with.
No, I'm trying to get 185 in now. Let me get that one knocked out first and I'll go back to 181. The problem with the 181 is it's not soft docking.
Okay, the first thing you want to do, we're sure we have the right plug and jack, is to verify the bail is fully aft.
Fully aft?
And you may have to hold it in that fully aft position.
It is fully aft?
Yeah. Hey,
I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong.
I know you're doing everything right. I was wondering if you thought it might be worthwhile to have a fresh set of eyes and a fresh set of hands take a look at it. Have Christopher come over and give it a try.
Yeah, I'd love for Chris to give it a shot.
All right, second oldest try. Okay, I'm here now, kind of behind you.
Alright, so I've got two connectors. This one, the 181, and the 185.
Okay, I'm on G181. Okay, and we're going to J181. Yeah. Okay. Go forward, no bend, chain, generated. Keeping it back. So just to give you guys the big picture, Christopher, for you, we're going to have you go up and install that insulating sleeve and then pick up the 1-4 bag and head back to the airlock. Danny, we're going to knock out this Node 1 slide wire removal and then you'll be headed back.
Sounds like a great plan.
That's good. What did it say? As March, so from metal to metal, particularly on this side. And I think it looks similar on the panel side on that corresponding point.
And
So that's why I kind of...
Station Discovery Houston.
That would work.
Station Discovery Houston.
Go ahead.
Christopher, it kind of looks like your WVS has come loose from your helmet. Can you check to see if it's still secure on your helmet?
Oh, you're right. It has.
We thought you were doing tremendous acrobatics.
Same here, Houston. I just didn't want to say anything. I wanted to make sure you had a hand on things. All right. So, let's be sure how I can get this one back without telling. All right, I'll just hang in here. If you wanted to...
No, stay right where you're at, Christopher. You're doing just fine.
This is Mission Control Houston looking now at Danny Olivas' helmet cam view. There is Christopher Fugel saying...
Again, Danny, you are going to tether to the helmet light and camera.
As you can see, his helmet cam assembly has come completely off. It's still tethered to them, but what they're going to ask Olivas to do is to put a tether on that helmet cam, just to make sure it doesn't float away.
Yeah, I've got a red on the helmet.
Okay.
On the helmet lights.
Welcome to Flight 89 highlights of Discovery and the International Space Station. It's a lot of people involved in preparing the EVA and also executing the EVA. It's not only the two guys going outside. We have a couple of people with us in the airlock who help us suit up, make sure we get into the kind of inner airlock where we eventually depress. And when we do the EVA itself, there's people inside who actually tell us all the time what to do, which is next step, and help with the troubleshooting. And on ground, the whole time was during the preparation and during the EVA. A lot of people following our instructors, our trainers, the controllers, and whenever something is a little bit off, they immediately give good advices to us.
Yes, Christopher alluded to, it's a big event in preparing two individuals for a spacewalk. And it's not just the folks that are helping them get dressed, which takes about 2.5 hours, a 2.5-hour effort to get them out the door once we start in the morning, and that's already a good half day that's put in. But in addition to the biomed data that is being downlinked to the ground for the doctors, you can see that the ground is also monitoring all the systems, including the EMUs, the spacesuits, and we also have a camera that's on us where they're watching how we're handling the equipment and making sure that everything seems right to them. There you see Nicole on the UIA panel throwing some switches for some oxygen hoses that go into the EMU, and there you see her working the display control module, checking the health of the EMU suits, making sure that everything is working properly.
So
So the logistics module that came up in Discovery's payload bay is attached onto space station with only 16 bolts. And unfortunately, one of those bolts became jammed, and Bob Thirsk and I were tasked with removing that bolt and then replacing it with one. And it's really good that we had such excellent training on the ground. This is one of those tasks that you typically don't expect to do, and we were able to remove this successfully, and is completely because of the great training that we had received and the excellent procedures that had been sent up from the ground for us to execute today.
And the mechanism that we're working on includes a bolt, which is on the station side, and a nut, which is on the MPLM side. So we have to remove the bolt and the nut. Here you see us working on the nut in weightlessness. It's got a little bit of inertia there, easy to pull apart. So we're on the MPLM side here, and in a few minutes we'll work on the bolt, remove that, and then also has something called an actuator, which is a motor that drives the bolt in and out. It's really important that we get this bolt off. If it doesn't come off, then the MPLM cannot be unberthed. That would not be very good. So here we are, still taking it apart. There's some alignment guides there as well. Everything went very, very smoothly. Procedures were sent up to us. They were reviewed yesterday, sent up to us overnight, and we performed the procedure just as written, and everything went smoothly. Kind of tight quarters that we're working in, using station's complement of tools. Lighting is very important when you're working in some of these nooks and crannies on this space station. There are tons of nooks and crannies on this station, and if you don't have good lighting, you just can't do your job. It's one of the first things I learned up here. If you got lighting, you can do your job. What you're looking at there is a little paddle called an RTL.
And now we're back to the EVA prep, and we've got the guys all suited up, got the helmets on, and we're getting ready to take them off of the stands and put them into the crew lock, the actual part of the airlock that goes to vacuum so that they can go out to space.
In addition to our work schedules up here, we have a little bit of time to stay fit so that when we return to Earth, we can function during the entry and the landing and everything and be good to go after we all get on the ground. This is the ARED aboard station, which is a weightlifting machine that works in zero-G. It's important to kind of get the technique of this thing because it's some tempo involved to keep it all out there so it's not bouncing off the hard stops and so on. Got a little bit of a computerized display there too to show you what you're doing with the reps. And again, as Tim mentioned earlier with the training, I had a lot of training on this in 1G on the ground, and that was outstanding training to have me ready to go, but it's just a little bit different in space. A few minutes ago you saw Tim Coper and me remove the failed bolt and nut. Now we're installing a spare one. The station has spare parts. That's the way that we designed the station, to be modular. Things can we provide spares and get things replaced when required. And here again you see the headlight that I'm using, just pulling the bad bolt out and get ready to put the new bolt in. A little bit later this evening, I'm going to connect a computer called a CPA up to the new bolt and actuator that we just installed. And the ground will do a checkout of the bolt to make sure it can retract properly. And so it'll be able to do its function along with the 15 other bolts on the day when we demate the MPLM from the station. That's still 2 or 3 days away from now. A little bit of cleanup work here. Again, tight quarters. And that's the bolt that's coming out. It looks innocent, but it looked like it would. Telemetry told us that it was binding up a little bit in the nut that it goes into. I just want to emphasize something that Tim said a minute ago, and we train for a lot of things that we don't really expect to do, but this is one of these situations where our skills were required. We have generic skills that allow us to do a variety of tasks on orbit. When an expedition crew launches, we never know exactly what type of task we'll be performing, so we do have the skills and know the systems enough that the ground can
with good communication, with good procedures, we can take care of the station. And Tim's just putting the bolt in now. Of course, we'll torque it up to the correct tolerances that are required.
And I don't know about the rest of my crew members, but in 1G I am no acrobat or gymnast at all, but it's amazing what a little 0G can do for you, and it's a lot of fun. And out of nowhere, you can find a new use for the bungees.
Well, that tank there is called a KTO, and it's used for disposal of human waste aboard Space Station, and they're expensive to build, and once they're full, we like to get them back to the ground if we can, refurbish them, and we'll get them back up on a future flight. What CJ and I spent a lot of time doing today was packing the MPLM for the trip home. We got everything out of it that came up in Leonardo, and now it's time to buckle it all down and bolt it all in place and put it all where it needs to be. The planners on the ground have it all figured out, so the center of gravity is in exactly the right place, so we can fly it home safely.
I think Christopher mentioned earlier that besides the two folks outside, Danny and Christopher today, there's also a lot of folks inside doing some work. That also gives us the ability to have some great views of those guys outside, and every chance we get, we'll take pictures of them, keep cameras on them. Helps us keep up with where they are, make sure that everything's good, and also provide great pictures for the people on the ground.
And today we had another successful day in EDA. Certainly a testament to the team that helped prepare us, including Jed Scoville, Matt Gass, Sandy Moore, Paul Gum, and Dave Barrett, because we definitely had our hands full out there with the tasks, and even the suits gave us some issues, but through their hard effort and training, we were able to execute the procedures necessary and conduct two successful EVAs. I also want to say thanks to the engineers who did a lot of the analysis work ahead of time to make sure that we had all the information we needed regarding the systems that we were dealing with, so that when we were ready to work the procedures, that we had the proper safety precautions in place for us to be able to execute the procedures. In addition to the EVA team, this is a good time to thank our entire EVA shift, which was ISS Orbit 2. There was a lot of other commanding and other work that went on, and a special thanks to our lead ISS flight director, Heather Rick. Here we are getting the crew, Nicole's taking pictures of their gloves, which will be sent to the ground to make, while the gloves are still pressurized, to make sure that the gloves are usable for a future EVA. There's a very specific sequence which is followed for taking the pictures of the gloves, and then the specialists on the ground will look at them very carefully. And they have good records from previous EVAs, so they know which, if there was any damage that it might have been on this spacewalk. We do this final part of the desuiting in parallel just to get the crew out of their suits quicker. They've had a really long day. They're in their suits a long, long time. More than 8 hours probably by the time it's done. A lot of folks say they just can't wait to scratch their nose when they finally get those helmets off.
Okay. Okay. How was it? Congratulations.
Good job, you guys.
Great job.
Thank you so much for the help.
All right. Where's the bag? Here we go. Done with EVA 3.
All right.
Oh, man.
Done with EVA 3, guys. Congratulations.
All right.
Well done.
Thank you, Jose.
All right.
We still had some cleanup work to do in the MPLM. Here's Kevin removing the pivot pins from the racks that we had to rotate down to put the supplies in the back. Last thing we had was after he gets this off, we had a special piece of foam that was cut by the wonderful folks that work in the lab down at KSC that cut all this special foam to fly all this gear up here to the space station. And a little tradition has been that the crew members, they make one of the crew patch, and then the crew members come in and sign it. There you can see Danny still in his EVA underwear coming in to sign the foam. And if you look real carefully, you can see the STS-128 patch in there. This has been a very successful transfer mission. The foam has been very well cut, and we appreciate everybody at KSC that packed that MPLM. It's a great job.